Hey, this is Mike Evans. Listen to every episode of Schlereth and Evans on demand at 1043thefan.com. Presented by Siltahara Motors, the home of the Zero Down with Chapter 7 and 13 bankruptcies. Regardless of your financial standing, no one should be without a vehicle. Visit the special financing section at sthmotors.com.
Yes, it is opening day 2021. Dodgers in town. First pitch against the Rockies at Coors Field. Pretty cool stuff. That'll be later this afternoon, just after 2 o'clock here locally. Zach By filling in for Mike Evans. I'm with my regular partner, Brandon Stokely, in addition to Mark Schlereth. Guys, interesting question that I think I know what the answer is going to be, but I wanted to bounce it off you. And really the genesis of this was from a RamosLaw.com texter yesterday morning. They didn't put their name on it, so they remain anonymous. We'll give you a shout-out if you put your name on it.
Just steal it like you came up with it.
I like to give credit.
No, if they don't put their name on it, they don't deserve it.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right.
It's your own. You came up with it yesterday.
303-713-1043. I came up with an idea yesterday that it's a simple question. What team is in a worse position over the next 3 to 5 years within their own division? Is it the Rockies looking up at the Los Angeles Dodgers, the reigning World Series champs, or the Broncos looking up at a Kansas City team that has played in the past 2 Super Bowls and really was 1 pre-snap penalty away from playing in 3 consecutive Super Bowls?
I think that it's the Rockies and the ineptitude that is the Rockies and what they have done. You know, or the lack of, although they were a playoff team a couple years ago. Like you can become a playoff team, but they've never won their division in, 26 years? Yeah, 26 seasons.
26 seasons.
Have never won their division.
They were so close in 2018.
Oh. Yeah, well, you know.
1-game playoff.
You know how close works. So I just am like, I just look at where the direction they've gone in. Now, I think there's going to be some wholesale changes after this season. I think there will be changes in the front office, and I'm talking about wholesale changes. I think your GM will be gone. I think his people will be gone. I think they will clean house because the contracts are up, and that is my prediction for what's going to go on with the Rockies. So you'll get new management, much like you've kind of got a new management front office here with George Payton taking over for the Broncos, but I just believe the windows in the NFL are shorter. I mean, I don't know about you, Brandon, but I've seen it like when I was in Washington and we won a world championship and our team was rated as one of the best. It still is one of the best Super Bowl teams in the history of the NFL. And the next year we had a bunch of injuries, but we still managed to get in the playoffs. The next year. So 2 years removed from winning a Super Bowl, I think we were 4-12.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of my Ravens.
Yeah, like it just is like, it just blows up. So I just think there's more of an opportunity, not only to blow up, but to swing on the uptick as well in the NFL. Like everybody's got a chance. And pick the right players, put the right chemistry together, get the right quarterback. Whether you develop him or whether you draft him and he becomes the guy, you got a chance to go from outhouse to penthouse.
I'm with you, Mark. We're on the same page here. Both situations aren't ideal when you look at the Rockies looking up at the Dodgers and the Broncos looking up at the Chiefs. But we see in football injuries happen like this. And if you have a couple of them at key positions, all of a sudden your football team is totally different than what you thought it was going to be. We saw Patrick Mahomes go down on a quarterback sneak dislocating his kneecap.
Yep.
Right? That could change your season like that. Now, it didn't mess their season up. He was able to come back. They still ended up going on to win the Super Bowl that year. But injuries happen. Things can happen. Draft. If you get your quarterback situation figured out. We saw the Chargers, and, you know, they feel great about their future now. So things can change a lot quicker in football than it can in baseball. Now, you look at the Rockies over the next 3 to 5 years. What do you have to be optimistic about? We don't have Nolan Arenado anymore. Right, Trevor Story is probably on his way out. Charlie Blackmon is not getting any younger. So what do we have coming up in the minor league system? Nothing. Dodgers, they are just flat out loaded. And baseball, you don't see injuries like you do in football. So I agree with Stink. I think the more daunting task is the Colorado Rockies trying to overtake the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah, 100% co-sign with you guys. And the build in baseball is so much slower than it is in professional football. Like, you think of a guy, you were talking earlier in the show about the Washington football team's defense. Mm-hmm. They drafted Chase Young a year ago, and that guy's in the league wrecking shop. And you were talking about their defense in general. You look at the guys up front, Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Darren Payne, Montez Sweat. They're all first-round picks from just the past couple years, and they're balling.
Oh, by the way, Ryan Kerrigan was a first-round pick who's a rotational guy for them now, has been a great pass rusher over the course of his career.
But like baseball, you draft a guy, you may not see that guy at the professional level, the Major League Baseball level for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, sometimes never.
And sometimes
especially if
never.
The Rockies draft him.
Yeah. Well, you know what? A cheap shot.
Opening day, low blow.
It was left exposed and
hey, listen,
and
man,
Mark took it.
If the proverbial shoe fits,
it's
how many years have we been waiting for Brendan Rodgers to take over second base?
Years. I remember seeing him in the Futures game like 4 years ago. It's like this kid,
it's going to be, yeah.
Yeah.
I
want to read a quick text here from the RamosLaw.com text line. This show feels like the wishbone offense. You don't know if you're going to get it up the middle from Mark, a sweep to Stokely, or a fumble from Zach. That's from Willie. Thank you, Willie. We appreciate your listenership. All right. The Broncos may be looking at an amazing football player falling to them at number 9. Question I have is there a position that should be off limits for the Denver Broncos? We'll take a dive into that conversation coming up next.
Hey, it's Mike Evans. Siltahar Motors is the home of Zero Down. Regardless of your credit or financial situation, Siltahar Motors will help you get behind the wheel. People with poor credit or in bankruptcy can qualify for Zero Down and no payments for 45 days and be driving in their new car within hours of stopping by the dealership. Check out any of the cars Siltahar Motors currently has on site at sthmotors.com. Siltahar Motors is conveniently located at Highway 36 in Wadsworth, so regardless of your financial situation, Siltahar Motors will get you the car you deserve at sthmotors.com.
The Broncos may be looking at an amazing football player.
Good.
Falling to them at number 9 because of the run on quarterbacks. And I'm curious to hear your guys' opinion. Is there a position that should be off limits, as you're going to have a buffet of draft picks really right at your fingertips?
Yeah. Hey, Stoke, real quick though, before we do that, I just want to, for a point of order. So Stoke had this theory about, the Miami Dolphins shopping the deal that they made with San Francisco. Yeah. And we both kind of went through that. So, I went straight to the source, John Lynch.
Oh, and let's reset that real quick.
Okay. Wait. I got to sit up for this one.
Right.
Hold on. Just people know me. Just to reset the premise here.
Yeah.
Stokely said, if you're the Dolphins and you're at 3 and the Niners are calling you, if you're the general manager, aren't you picking up the phone and calling Carolina Panthers, Broncos, other
Patriots,
right, other quarterback needy teams to get the best possible deal for yourself?
Right, which makes perfect sense, right? And I'm not a newsbreaker, so I don't care who they want to pick or any of that. But it was interesting because it's a great thought by Stoke. And it made me think, well, how does that go down? I've never been a GM, I don't know exactly how that goes down. So I just texted John Lynch and I said, typically, how do these things work? And he said, you negotiate a deal and then you say, all right, if this is what I have, this is the best I can do we have a deal? You have to agree to the parameters of the deal before I hang up. Because, if you don't and we hang up, the deal's off the table.
Deal's done.
The deal's done. So you basically say, you're not going to go shop this to anybody else. We either have a deal on the phone right now or we don't have a deal. And,
interesting.
And typically he said that's how you negotiate those things. So the point being is that George Payton or the Carolina Panthers or nobody else was basically offered the deal. They got a deal that they thought was great. The Miami Dolphins did, and they said, let's do this thing.
Well, what if you do the old staticky thing? Like, wait, I can't hear you, John. Let me call you back, John. This phone. I've been telling the Dolphins they got to get a new phone service. Let me call you right back.
This is why you should be a GM.
Right.
So,
see how quick that is? Boom. Then you pick up the phone real quick and you call up George Payton. But how about this? How about if the Dolphins are throwing this out to football teams, to other organizations? How about if it wasn't just the 49ers calling?
Right.
The Dolphins obviously knew they wanted to trade this pick.
Right. So
this didn't just happen.
Right. So they call up everybody and say, hey, man, our number three's on the blocks. What do you have to offer?
Right.
Right. And if the Niners are the first one to call to say, hey, listen, man, we're going to give you a king's ransom. And now you get to that. Like if they're the first ones to call and you say, here's what we have, and you hang up, it's off the table, and you can take your chances with somebody else. So yeah, certainly that could have happened. But it's just interesting very interesting, like how those deals work. So anyway.
Yeah. I like that because, that's why I brought it up to you, because I didn't know at the time a couple of days ago when it just kind of hit me, that, how the inner workings and how these trades come together and when you say, hey, like you just said, when those situations happen, what are the parameters there? We don't know. I didn't know, but it's good to kind of go behind the scenes there and kind of hear how these things work. I like it. Thank you for that.
That's great stuff. Just hit up John Lynch.
Just hit up Johnny.
That's pretty cool.
John is John's got some Bronco ties, right?
Got some Bronco ties.
He's one of the great ones. All right, go back to your question now. Well, because I like your question.
You know what? We'll get back to it because there's not quite enough time here. But I'm glad we did what we just did.
All right.
Well, then since we're going down this road, I was on Twitter yesterday and I saw Stink. You must have been getting your workout in.
Yeah.
Twitter.
Yeah.
You had your
get my lift on.
Yeah, you had your stinking good chili sweatshirt hoodie on.
Yeah, I did.
And I've become a big fan. Yes, I've become a big fan of hoodies, but I need them sleeveless. That's what I get my workout in. I need them sleeveless. I have those.
My God.
No,
are those available?
We do not currently carry sleeveless hoodies, but I know a guy.
Okay.
And I'm sure this is not for you. It's for the guy you do arms with on a weekly basis. So yeah, I can ask a guy about sleeveless hoodies.
Perfect.
I'll just ask.
Okay, perfect. Put me in line. Put me in line for that first sleeveless hoodie.
If I see a guy without a hoodie on, I'm going to let him know. You better go get a hoodie on.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I haven't heard that soundbite in at least a year, and I'm glad that we just heard it now. Derek Wolf, that is great. That's good. That was before the 2018 season.
Wow, good memory.
And him saying that I'm going to be more of a leader, and if someone we're working out in hoodies now, and if a guy's not wearing a hoodie, I'm going to tell him put a hoodie on.
The hoodie police, they live inside in my head.
Well, I need a hoodie. I need one. They look sharp.
Can you imagine, Stoke, you're in year like 13 and you don't have your hoodie on and somebody tells you to go put your hoodie on? I'd be like, hey, dude, I'm saying, man, I'll work out the way I want to work out.
Get to stepping.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. All right.
I don't care who's telling me.
Hey, real quick.
This thing started off with Stink reaching out to John Lynch and has since gone to hoodie wear.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Really quick. Today is Rockies opening day presented by Coors Light. Golly, Ben, take it easy.
That was uncalled for.
At least on opening day. Let us have this moment.
Hello, new.
But on a more serious tone, for years, Pedro Gomez has been joining this station, and I know specifically from noon to 3, he had joined us every single week for the last 3 years. And the news of his passing broke during the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl, and I don't know if the sporting world got to fully just stop and really take that time to reflect on Pedro, because it was the freaking Super Bowl. It's the biggest game of the world. And the reality of it was like another stage of the reality of his passing was last night when I was looking forward to today's show, and it was like I cannot believe tomorrow's first pitch and this guy is not going to be with us. And it's just, it's tragic. And, I just want to take a second and just say rest in peace again.
Right. Pedro was, or is a dear friend of mine, and, had a relationship with him years and years at ESPN. And even though he joined our show on a weekly basis, I talked to Pedro during the off season every month, but during the season every couple of weeks at least. As a matter of fact, my son was pitching in Boston as was his son. And when I went out to spring training out in Florida, Rio came and had dinner with us. And so I know the family, just tragic. Pedro was such a good man and had such a passion for his family and for baseball. And, I will, I'll dearly miss him.
Yeah, Zach, y'all both said it just spot on, and just what a great guy. He just was a really, really good guy, and he was always so professional, and how he went about coming on the show with us. And when I went to the All-Star game a couple years ago, he was a guy that said reach out to him if I needed anything. I saw him on the field before the game just watching BP, and he came over, and he was really busy, and we chatted for 5-10 minutes, and just a great guy. And it's it's a shame that he left us so soon.
Yeah, way too soon. Okay, Philip Lindsay spoke on the radio about his former quarterback, Drew Lock. We'll get to that and more in 4 Down Territory coming up next.
Are you ready for some football?
This is 4 Down Territory.
Words cannot say how much I truly love you.
Donkey Kong Sue.
Double team, leaping high, falling hard.
No source fiesta.
On Sports Radio 104.3, The Fan. First down.
But for Drew, it's going to be like, what did I not do last year that I need to do this year? That's going to put me on another level. And he has the capabilities of doing that. And he just needs to find it within himself. And so if Drew does that, you guys are going to see a talented young man. And he's hungry. You know what I mean? Like, he's hearing all this backlash and all this stuff. And if he can look in the mirror and he can find himself, he's going to have a great career going on forward. And I wish them but the best for him.
That was Philip Lindsay talking about Drew Lock. We'll take a little bit deeper dive into some of the things that Philip Lindsay said during an interview on Sirius XM radio. But him saying, hey, this is a battle with himself. This is like Drew Lock versus himself. That's his biggest challenge here. What do you make of those comments?
I think that in many cases is everybody's biggest challenge is your knowledge of the game, how hard you're willing, to work and how much you're willing to. I think a big part of getting better at anything is your willingness to admit that you need to get better, that you've got weaknesses, that you've got things that you need to study and prepare for and all that stuff. So, I think that's always the case in football is usually your biggest opponent is yourself.
The mental game. Yeah. Right? The mental game, especially for a quarterback, is huge. It's just like a golfer. I mean, you're pretty much out there and you're, yes, you need the other 10 guys, but you're on an island. I mean, it's you that are deciding to go with the football to one certain spot or having to read these defenses and change protections, all those things. So it's a mental game, and especially if you are starting to struggle. So that's a big part of it. That's obviously a big part of playing the quarterback position at a high level. So we'll see if he can get that figured out.
Next in 4 Down Territory.
Second down.
Still within the 20-game format. That was something that was important to the NFLPA, and that was part of the structure of our CBA. What we're looking to do here is taking the data, and actually the highest rate of injury is actually in a preseason game.
That was the voice of Roger Goodell in referencing the new NFL schedule. And that new schedule states that each team will play an international football game at least once every 8 seasons. And from here on out, guys, we're going to have 4 neutral site games per year, with initial focus being on Canada, Europe, Mexico, South America, and the United Kingdom. I think the league's trying to make some global money.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, why wouldn't you? You've done a great job here on your home soil, but to introduce our game globally, I happen to believe it's the greatest game in the world. I know that people follow soccer more, but they can have that. I just think that football is the greatest game in the world, and so why wouldn't you expose it to the rest of the world and get them excited about it?
They can have it. I agree. Look, you're trying to grow the game, trying to make more money, and get more eyes on your product. So in order to do that, you got to go overseas. You got to go to different markets and different countries. And so I like that prospect. I like that idea. And that's just the next step for the NFL.
Expose it to the world. Or are they, Deshaun Watson? Next in 4-down territory.
Down. We monitor these cases. If it results in an investigation by the league with respect to the personal conduct policy, we'll become involved in that. Other than that, historically, I don't comment on open cases, but we certainly are continuing to monitor it as it might impact this young man and the personal conduct policy.
That is the voice of D. Smith. 2 more lawsuits filed against Deshaun Watson. Wow. Brings the total up to 21 cases. And these are all massage therapists or fringe massage therapists that work in some focus of the human body. And then the quarterback's camp, he and Rusty Hardin, they put out statements from 18 separate massage therapists who testify on behalf of Deshaun Watson's professionalism. Stink, I don't know what the heck to make of all this.
Allegedly. But like when you said that, like allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah, that's good for, just for you on the tease there early. What to make of it? Stokely made the best point. Stokely made the best point I've heard in all this. He's the only guy that I've heard say this. And I just, I'm mad that I didn't think of it. Stokely's right. How many how many people would be out of work in the greater Houston area had it not been for Deshaun Watson's employment of 18 million massage therapists? I mean, how many do you need? Most dudes find one. Most professional athletes find one that's good, and that's all they use.
That's it.
And still, you made the point. Go ahead.
Well, it's just really strange. I mean, I know when I was here with the Broncos, I just had one main guy, Steve Hamilton,
right.
And that's who you worked with. So you just get one guy, or one, whoever it is, and that's all you use. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to just, because when you're getting a massage, obviously, in you're an athlete, you're trying to, feel better for the next day and recover, and so you find a good one, you stick with it. Hopping around from massage therapist to massage therapist, not knowing if you're going to get a good massage, tells me you're not looking for that type of massage.
Right. You know what? To this day, I still go to Steve Hamilton.
Yeah, Steve's the man.
This is really weird.
And that's the other thing. Every organization has Steve Hamilton.
Right.
Like every guy works with that guy or somebody involved with the organization. So to be picking your massage therapists off of Instagram already is suspect.
It really is. And you got 21 massage therapists against him and 18 massage therapists for him. Really, really weird. Next in 4-down territory.
4th down. Smith takes the snaps. Eagles only bring 4 this time. Smith to the center of the end zone, and what a catch by Logan Thomas. Touchdown! Touchdown, Washington!
That was Washington football team radio. NFL owners approve debt waiver to allow Washington's Daniel Snyder to buy out the minority owners. Stink?
Yeah, weren't they just trying to get rid of Daniel Snyder because of all the other extracurricular and all the dirt that was coming out?
Oh, the cheerleading and the photos and all that stuff.
And now they're saying, hey, we've cleared this up so you can buy out the owners.
Strange.
It is strange. And then he's got to pay back that loan debt. It's like about a $60 million a year that he's got to pay back over the next 7 years. Which, this new TV deal gets him, right? That gets him that. So anyhow, it is strange.
Yeah, people wanted Daniel Snyder gone. It's just the opposite. He's accumulating power there, Stoke.
Yeah, got it all. Now owns it all. So just a weird twist. All of a sudden, like y'all said, it looked like they were trying to force him out, and you have this investigation. Will they make him sell the team like they did Jerry Richardson with the Carolina Panthers? And then nope, we're going to give you the whole team. So really strange.
Philip Lindsay gave an interview on XM Radio and dished on Drew Lock and what it's like to share a starting job at running back. We'll take a dive into that conversation coming up next. There's a question up there on the big screen here in our American Financing Studios on NFL Network. Which quarterback age 25 or under will surprise us most in 2021? It's a good question. There's a lot of candidates right now in this league where it feels like there's a bit of a changing of the guard in the National Football League right now, where guys like Ben Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, they're either all in their very final stage or approaching that stage. And then you got guys like, not too long ago, Peyton retiring, Eli retiring. And then you have this younger guard of quarterbacks.
Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers.
Retired.
Thank you. That's another really good one. It feels like
Tiger makes a stew out of me.
It feels like the guys that we've been watching for the last 2 decades, the long-standing, most tenured quarterbacks, they have 1 foot out or are walking out. And there's this new guard of quarterbacks. Is that a fair assessment of the landscape of that position?
I think it is, and I think you look at, with the Deshaun Watson stuff notwithstanding, because he's 25, but, we don't know what that situation is going to be. But when you look at, and I don't know all the ages exactly, but when you look at Josh Allen, Tua.
Yep, he's Josh Allen's 24. Tua's certainly younger than that.
Okay, you look at Lamar.
He's 24.
You look at Mayfield. I don't know what his age is. Obviously, Jacksonville's going to have a young guy in there in Lawrence.
Baker's 25, to your point.
Okay, Mahomes is still young.
Justin Herbert.
Dak Prescott. I mean, it just is. I mean, there are a ton of young guys that all have, it hasn't been, their book has not been written, but obviously Herbert's has started exceptionally well. Mahomes is, considered. Joe Burrow. I mean, there's a lot of young players.
Kyler Murray. I mean, it's crazy.
It looks on the surface. Now, remember, all these first rounders from 2009 to 2016, 2020, 22 of them that have all not, that none of them are with their regular teams. We know there's going to be some failures along the way. Sam Darnold, it doesn't look like it's going well for him. Josh Rosen, it's not gone well for him so far. We know there's going to be some failures along the way. I mean, we had one here in Denver in Paxton Lynch, right?
Bravo. Perfect.
21-70.
The consistency is just, one
of the longest streaks in professional sports.
Yeah. Cal Ripken Jr.'s got nothing on the smear campaign of Paxton Lynch.
Unbelievable.
True. Like the original Luke Gehrig, right? The Iron Horse.
And that was effortless. It was
just
fully
so
in the flow of conversation.
Anyhow, but the future at that position looks pretty bright, which makes you look at Denver and go, why couldn't we be in on any of that? Why weren't we in on, what? It feels a little bit that way, right? I know it's not that easy, but we just rattled off what?
But I think some of those guys you mentioned stink like they had the promise to be that guy, but we still don't know. We've seen that before, right? We've seen it with a guy like Ryan Tannehill. I remember him coming to Denver, 5-6 years ago with the Dolphins, and he looked unbelievable. And he got a second contract there, I believe. He was looking like he would be one of those young up-and-coming quarterbacks, but just never quite could take that next step. And you look at a guy like Kyler Murray, I'm not sold on him. It looks like he has potential, but I'm not sold on him. Tua, we don't know. We're crowning Herbert, but we still don't know if he's that guy or not. We've only seen a glimpse of him. Burrow, same type of thing. It's easy to project and say, oh yes, he's going to get there. He's going to do it. But these guys haven't quite done it yet. So to be an upper echelon quarterback.
Yeah, no, there's no question. And, let's face it. Josh Allen, physically gifted, had an unbelievable season last year. But the 2 years before that, I'm sure if you were in Buffalo, people were like, I don't know, his completion percentage is only in the 50s. How's this guy going to lead us anywhere? And now he's the toast of the town. So it is one of those things where, you got to kind of proceed with caution. But obviously, if you're in Buffalo, you're pretty excited about the potential of what's going on there. I think the same thing with Cincinnati and Cleveland and, and some of the other young quarterbacks we just mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a question. Like, you're thrilled with what you got and the optimism surrounding your young quarterback. I mean, let's rewind. I mean, I know I was thrilled with Drew Lock, 4-1. Yeah. After his rookie year, right? Yeah. I mean, maybe not quite to the degree that you're not comparing him to Josh Allen, certainly.
How'd that work out?
Oh, John, not very well so far. But we still got another year. But Baker Mayfield, you look at him, he started off his rookie year, was awesome. Then he kind of took a step back and it wasn't quite the same. And then he's returned to form this past year. So sometimes it's a process there. But certainly, when you look at some of these teams, they're very optimistic about what they have in place. But those guys haven't quite done enough yet to be crowned as the next quarterback. I mean, you look at a guy like Jared Goff and Carson Wentz. I mean, both those guys, the organizations thought they had it checked, fan bases thought they had it checked, and it was like, not so fast. A couple years later, they're gone. So things change quickly in the NFL.
Did you have that, Stoke? Did you go through your rookie year where things were really good, and then maybe your second or third? Did you have one of those years where it was kind of a learning experience for you? Because I certainly did between my rookie year and then my second year where, I struggled a little bit my second year, until I figured it out about halfway through my second year a little bit better. But, I had that kind of drop off, if you will.
Yeah, I certainly did. I was lucky to make the football team going into my second year. I mean, I was on the bubble and I had an awful training camp and, it was just a bad training camp, and I got lucky to make the football team, and I was, inactive for about 8, 9, 10 weeks. I was in, what do you call them, Zach, the squishy pants?
The swishy pants, where you hear you're coming before you're there.
Yes, that was me. And so, on game days, I wasn't getting a uniform. I was getting your inactive. So, I struggled, man. I struggled. It was just not, I don't know what it was, thinking too much, trying too hard. But certainly I think everybody goes through that in their careers. It doesn't just all of a sudden, it's not just perfect. You're going to go through some adversity where you got to try to grind through it. So, and certainly that applies to the quarterback. And hopefully we look back and that's Drew Lock, right? Where he just had a rough patch there his second year, and then he was able to bounce back and kind of get things back on the right track. And I guess we'll see this year if he gets that opportunity. But I think a lot of guys go through that.
Well, it's interesting you just said we'll see if he gets that opportunity. It is shaping up right now, at least based on what we know now, it is shaping up like he's going to get that opportunity. The Broncos did not participate in the free agent dominoes that fell. They did not or were not aggressive as a team like San Francisco in moving up the draft to assuring themselves that they're going to get a quarterback. The way that the temperature has changed around this draft with the quarterbacks makes it more unlikely that one of the 5 first-round quarterbacks is going to fall to them at 9. And the Deshaun Watson, maybe that was the plan A, and that has dried up because of his situation down there in Houston. So I don't know, and I said this to you guys 2 days ago, I don't know if Drew Lock was George Payton's initial plan, but he may get to plan C or D and Drew Lock still be there and be like, okay, you want to know what? This wasn't the initial outlook for 2021 at the quarterback spot, but we're actually going to move forward with that guy. I don't think that's the craziest suggestion of how things fell for Denver.
I don't either. And frankly, when you have a lot to do, I don't think George Payton came in here signing a 6-year deal saying, hey, we're a player or two away from, turning this around like we've heard the last 5 years. I think you walk into this situation saying, man, there's a lot of work to do. We've got to make a lot of moves. We've got to increase the depth and the level of play, and our starters need to be better. We have, 10 of 11 starters coming back on offense or whatever, but are they good enough? And competition obviously helps that stuff. So I think you look at it with a very fluid plan in motion. Yeah, we'd like to go we'd like to kick the tires on Matthew Stafford, but if the price is too rich, we've got other things that we need to address. This is going to be a 2 or 3 year process. And I know people don't want to hear that, but you know what? If you would have done that 2 years ago, you know where you'd be right now? You'd be ready to make the leap. Instead of saying, hey, we're a Case Keenum away or a Joe Flacco away from being a playoff team. I think that's a pipe dream that the organization sells to the fan base, and the fan base goes, whoopee, here we go. And you're really not that close. So I appreciate the process of saying this team is not ready. There are a lot of things I need to do, and I'm not going to force something that's going to set me back from doing the other things that I want to do down the road. It's a 3-year process. So whether I get that quarterback right now and cost myself down the road, or I say, hey, let's build the team up, and when I get one, I'll make the move.
Yeah, look, this thing is setting up perfectly for Drew Lock. Peyton has looked, but he hasn't bought anything yet. He's just window shopping, and he hasn't bought anything yet, and so
he tried, made an offer.
Right. It just hasn't bought it though. Hasn't been able to finalize the deal. So it's setting up perfectly for Drew Lock. To get this next opportunity. Who is left that's going to come in here and really be able to just take the job from Drew? At least he's going to be able to compete for the job. Who are they going to bring in to just give him the job? Nobody's left. You got Minshew, you got Foles, you got Alex Smith, you got who's the other one I'm forgetting here? One more out there. Minshew, Foles, Alex Smith. There's
Teddy Bridgewater potentially if they go get a quarterback in the draft.
Yeah, right. So Teddy Bridgewater, but this thing is setting up, unless they trade for Teddy Bridgewater and he's making a lot of money, for Drew Lock to at least be able to compete for the job. They've had a chance to move up in the draft, I'm assuming, if they wanted to try to explore that. They didn't. It just kind of setting up nicely for Drew Lock, where it could have been a tough off season for him, where they could have really added to the room with a Matthew Stafford or somebody like that and said, that's the starter. You got a new general manager. He's not tied to Drew Lock at all. But the further along we go here, the better Drew Lock's odds are of being the quarterback, or at least a starter, to start the season for the Broncos in 2021.
Hey, it's Mike Evans. Siltahar Motors understands sometimes bad things happen to good people. That includes bankruptcy. If that is you, you can still purchase a car at Siltahar with zero money down in almost all cases. This is a program they've been doing for 25 years. The dealership itself is almost 60. Family-owned business that is proud of their reputation and proud to be a huge part of the Broomfield community. If you file bankruptcy, Siltahar Motors can help. Zero down and no payments for 45 days in almost all cases. Contact Team Zero Down at 720-446-9222 or online at sthmotors.com.